Last Sunday, I had a talk with Nancy Sathre-Vogel, who in the past has traveled extensively by bicycle from Alaska to Argentina. Nancy currently lives in Boise, Idaho. Her open mind and social sensitiveness are already enough reasons to share her thoughts about this really particular transition in the US. So thank you so much, Nancy, for this interview here on Omar Global Radio. I understand that you are living in a city that, electorally speaking, has no equivalent with the rest of Idaho. Is that correct?
Well, Idaho in general is very, very, very red, very, very conservative. However, Boise itself is a blue donut hole. So we're surrounded by very conservative people, but Boise itself is very progressive. In Idaho, of course, it was all Republicans. In Boise, we have a progressive mayor, and a lot of our local officials are progressives, but statewide, it's completely.
Traveling extensively, in your case, obviously, gives you the capacity for broader perception of things, isn't it?
I have spent a huge portion of my life living and traveling in other countries. And I think that what that does is it gives you a perspective that a lot of Americans don't have. And I think it's kind of worldwide when people haven't seen other countries, other ways of living. You tend to think that your way is best. You think that your way is the only. And so I think that going out, traveling, seeing the world gives you a perspective, and it helps you to understand that, there are other ways of doing things, and you can learn from other people. I think too many people have this mindset that my way is the best way. And so by getting out and experimenting and getting to know other people, you get to realize that maybe you don't know everything.
The things that are happening right now in the US, does it surprise you? Consider that you had the privilege of being abroad, traveling by bicycle.
I think that has been one of the hardest parts of coming back to the US. For decades, when I was living in other countries, I would see things in other countries, and I told myself that would never happen here. That would never happen in my country. That the people in my country are smarter, or they're more compassionate, or they're more caring, or whatever. And I would see homeless people on the side of the road, and I would think that would never happen in my country. And so then when I came back to the U.S. and I saw a lot of that stuff that for decades I told myself would never happen in America, that the American people would never allow that to happen, and I saw it happening, it was very difficult. Very, very difficult. It was very definitely, it was a gut punch, it was, looking at it and saying, wow, we really do have people in America who would happily allow others to starve. And I, for so many years when I was living and traveling abroad, I truly believed that in America we would never do that. And yet now I see that we can and we will, and we are, and that's hard. That has been really hard to accept.
Do you think that the Republican Party has made it possible with its actions and omissions that the traditional values of the American people are now turning upside down?
I think what has happened now in these last few years is the Republican Party has shown themselves to be anti-democratic, number one. I mean, right now they're trying to overthrow a free and fair election. And again, that just blows my mind. Like, that's not something that I ever considered that any Americans would do. I mean, I always believed that as Americans, we would respect and honor the voices of the American people. And if the American people chose somebody that I didn't agree with, then it was like, I may not like it and I may work to try to change that outcome, but I never tried to overthrow it. I never tried to, say, oh, we need to throw this person out illegal. I mean, so seeing what's going on and what has been going on the last few years has really, I don't know, it's opened my eyes to realize that what I thought were shared American values aren't necessarily shared American values, if that makes any sense. Things that I thought that all Americans supported, I truly believed that all Americans believed that all people were equal regardless of your skin color. And these last few years have shown me that that's not true. I believed that all Americans supported democracy. And now I'm seeing that that's not true. There are Americans who don't believe in that. So I'm having to rethink the whole thing and try to wrap my head around the idea of what does it mean to be an American? I mean, what does that mean? What are American ideals? Because the things that I always thought were American ideals, I'm now realizing that they may not be.
What about your personal safety? I mean, can you walk around without worrying that might something happening to you?
I feel okay walking around. That's not an issue, but I do. I would never go anywhere where I knew there was a pro-Trump rally. A lot of people will go down to kind of protest. And I wouldn't. I mean, the Trump people in general, and I realize this is stereotypical, but in general, they tend to be very heavily armed and they tend to be very emotionally on the edge. By that, I mean they tend to be those people who will fly off the handle easily. Something doesn't go their way, and so they flip out and lose it. And so I do very much worry about that. If I were to go, if there's a Trump rally downtown, I will just avoid that whole area because it's not worth the aggravation for me, but then it's not worth the idea that they could just lose their temper and start shooting. And I don't think they would shoot at me, but there's enough instances of people they get in a fight, they start shooting, and then random people get hurt. So I do worry about that.
You are quite active in showing up your political views on social media. Being passionate in what you do is part of your personality?
Well, I have always been one of these people that I'm just very passionate about whatever it is. I mean, when I was a school teacher, I was very passionate about really making sure that my students got what they needed. And we spent 4 years on our bicycles, and when we were riding our bikes from Alaska to Argentina, I was very passionate about that and about not only my own personal goal, but about trying to encourage other people to get out and travel. And now, especially since I have moved back to the U.S. after so long, I have really come to see, I think I have a different perspective about America and about, just politics in general, but it's way beyond politics. I think I have a different perspective than somebody who hasn't traveled as widely as I have. And so I do try to, I use whatever voice I have, but I'm not sure what the best way to go about this is. Our system is broken. I don't think there's any doubt there whatsoever. Our system is completely broken, and I'm not sure how to fix that, but I decided I would use my voice however I could.
What now? And fundamentally, what is next? What is the most important thing for you at this moment?
If this past year has taught us anything, and in the U.S., of course, it's been really bad. The virus is out of control, and then our political situation is crazy, and our economy is ready to just completely collapse. So here in the U.S., it's just been a really difficult year, and I am very, very, very thankful that we are in the position that we are in, as in my husband and I and our kids. We have an income that is fairly stable. We are not in danger of being homeless or starving to death, but a lot of Americans are, and that is a very difficult thing for us as Americans to deal with. We've never seen anything like this in our country in our lifetimes. But I think what this does is it really opens your eyes and it focuses your attention on what's important. And I think that's critical. I think that we all need to really just go back to the basics and really focus on what is important, and that is the people that you love, the people in your life. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to just say, okay, I realize that I have a responsibility to the greater society, and I will certainly do what I can to help society in general. And then I will just zero in and be so grateful and so thankful that my family is where we are. And I love my children. I love my husband. I love my extended family. And I need to focus on that, and I need to remember that. And it is way too easy to forget that.
The situation could have been a hell of a lot worse, considering.
Well, yeah, that's true. It could very definitely be much worse. I think that we are going into the most dangerous period now. Our COVID numbers are just astronomical. Completely out of control. And now that the vaccine is starting to come out, I fear that is going to cause some people to let their guard down. And so I think we all just need to be really, really careful for the next 5 or 6 months, but I don't think people will be. And that's scary. What can you do? You do your part and you hope for the best. And Biden has set COVID as his highest priority, which is good. Biden is very upfront that he believes strongly that getting COVID under control is the most important thing. And so, once we have some leadership, we just have no leadership here whatsoever right now. And so everybody is just on their own, and that's tough. How much can you do when you're just completely, each governor is doing the best they can, but it's tough. It's really hard. And so these next few months will be really bad, but I'm hoping that by the fall, the worst will be behind. I'm hoping that the next year is better than this past one.